Today we need to talk about Jungkook showing that he was shaking. I also want to get into people saying that there is a fully nude video of Jungkook with his privates floating around, and then we have HYBE being protested recently. So hey dumplings, it's Dave. Decide hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on, grab your dumpling, a taste spling mug merch, and let's go. We need to get into HYBE being protested recently by Jimin fans and what was happening with this. If you're not aware of what happened, it is extremely weird and I have a lot to say about this. So if you are not aware, recently HYBE has gotten another attack that some people in the fandom are calling Jimin antis that are disguised as Jimin supporters. So what happened? Apparently there's been billboard trucks outside of HYBE that are requesting fair treatment to Jimin. This happens with every single member and it's over really silly and stupid things that no one really cares about, nor does it actually affect the artist and their relevance. Apparently Jimin's single Like Crazy is eligible for a platinum award due to sales and streams. Jimin was never awarded with such a thing, and the problem is being disguised as coming from Jimin fans demanding that this affects Jimin's success in the industry. I want to add the only thing that is actually important for an artist is if they make a lot of money and if they meet the right people. Awards, they don't actually matter. And I say this because so many people without awards have made history in the US. So these trucks are protesting that Jimin never gets treated right and thus should be awarded an RIAA award. This stands for Recording Industry Association of America, and they're the one that awards songs with their rightful certification. Now there's a couple things that make this protest really not make any sense. First off, it is absolutely embarrassing for both Jimin and anyone going into HYBE headquarters to see this in front of their building. Imagine Jimin just walking in feeling absolutely embarrassed that there's an eyesore in front of the building. Don't you think if Jimin had a problem with not receiving the certification, he would have been the first to file and let whoever is in charge of getting that to get it done? Wouldn't he be more anxious about getting his own award than the fans? And if he's not anxious, then why should anyone else be? If he's not anxious, then it's clear it's not something he cares about. So do something he does care about. And before anyone says it's not embarrassing or an eyesore, and Jimin would love this, I would like to say the entire point of these billboard trucks is to be loud, embarrassing, and an eyesore so people in HYBE can take action. So again, it's just embarrassing and actually does nothing. I'm also convinced that anyone who is involved in these protest trucks or are funding it actually have no idea how this and the industry actually works. And if you have no idea how things work, how do you feel the audacity to demand action? These would be the same people who would go into Starbucks and demand the employees run things a specific way, even though the employees have their own way of doing things. And we call those people Karens, but sending billboard trucks is so normalized and not shamed. I don't understand. So let me explain how this works. RIAA is a company that is specifically in the US, and they're responsible for reviewing the qualification of a song and then awarding the award. But how do they know when a song gets to a certain level of success? They don't, unless the label submits the stats and the appropriate information to them. So this part I can see where people are saying, HYBE, you need to submit. But how do you know they haven't submitted? The process in which RIAA can take the approval and give the award can range anywhere from a few weeks to a few months. Jimin reached that level where he is eligible for his platinum certification around the end of August, beginning of September. Given there's an influx of new artists everywhere, thanks to TikTok, there's people that may have a stronger team that is more connected to the US market that can move up their certification process, and there's so many things. So therefore the billboard trucks should be outside the RIAA's office, not HYBE. This is why it makes no sense. So this huge eyesore outside of HYBE is for no reason. Imagine being an artist working a long day to be embarrassed by what seems like an overprotective helicopter parents rather than fans. Sometimes their overprotectiveness makes sense and it's very interesting. Other times it's unbearable. However, there is something that ARMY's noticed recently that I thought was interesting and I wanted to talk about it because people were extremely worried. So what happened? Jungkook did an interview with Apple Music. This host was amazing and it was such an amazing interview as the questions were so good. So the video actually received such amazing praise. People noticed that during this interview, you could see Jungkook's hand shaking as he was talking, and people took took this as a sign of being tired and exhausted, that he is literally shaking. This happens to a lot of people who may be overworked, but I want to add a spin to this. No one is forcing BTS members to work super hard. They just aren't. If you push them to do work or do things they don't want to do, they can just quit. They don't need the money anymore. So is it considered being overworked if it's themselves pushing themselves to work more? I would say it's considered more just so being very passionate about the job. Jungkook was seen shaking, and it was a shake that I recognized. Now, of course, I don't know what happened with him, nor could I say for sure, but it just seemed like a shake that happened when you drink too much coffee. We've all probably had those days when you just drink a bit too much, and you either regret it or you just need to drink a lot more because you have press and you just don't really want to give really wonky answers. I would describe an idol's sleeping schedule to be somewhat similar to a person maybe just sleeps like an hour or two at less than a normal person, and thus needs like Red Bull or something to feel normal and answer questions in an intelligent way. Otherwise, you could answer questions that are odd. For example, I know Demi Lovato was joking, but there was a clip where she was like, "What is your favorite dish?" And she said, "A mug." That's like the type of answer you would give if you were just like super tired and could only like half think. So that's a K-pop PR person's worst nightmare. Also, this is Apple Music, so obviously you want to make sure that you give the best answer you can, as this interview would live on with such an iconic brand. Of course, no matter how iconic, Jungkook is way more iconic and doesn't need the help of any brand to help promote him. In fact, he recently just posted a vlog going to Budapest, and it went viral and people were absolutely dying. Now, there is a clip that came out, and I think he used this clip during a concert before the official vlog, and it was a clip of him showering, and he played it during an arena show, and the fans were crazy. People were screaming after they realized that they were watching a clip of Jungkook going to the gym, and then freaking out even more when they realized that Jungkook was in the shower in one of the clips, and the video was showing Jungkook showering. Of course, if you're new to K-pop, you'd be like, okay, what's the big deal? But K-pop idol men rarely go shirtless, and so this is a big deal. The reason I believe a lot of K-pop male idols don't go shirtless is because it's hard for them to look good shirtless when they're younger, because the beauty standard is to be thin, like even for men to be abnormally thin. Reason being, it highlights their cheekbones and jawline, so if you're thin enough where you'll see a visible and strong jawline, you'll probably look too thin shirtless. But then as you get older and then the beauty standard is no longer to look thin, but you're allowed to have muscles, then you'll see the male idols start taking off their shirts on camera. Also, no one wants to see an underage boy shirtless. So then the Budapest vlog dropped on a Big Hits channel, and the whole world got to see it. The video went super viral, and no surprise, the entire portion where Jungkook is shirtless was the main thing that people focused on. People were saying a lot of things, and there even became rumors and people saying that Jungkook was being slutty. And what I am very curious about is that they compare the quote-unquote sluttiness of what Jungkook is doing compared to what a lot of other female idols in K-pop are doing. However, this makes no sense. First off, it's normalized for women to wear less, but also we can make a point about how Jungkook is not slutty without bringing down other idols. And second of all, why not go on the point that Jungkook, a man who is shirtless, is not slutty? It's not showing anything private. That's a much better point to make than, well, if you think Jungkook is slutty, look at your idol, which implies both are slutty. But then on a lighter note, some people were freaking out when people were saying that if you look at the video's description, it credits HYBE as the editor of the vlog. And then you have Jungkook showering, presumably naked. So in order to get that shot he shows in the video, he needs to be naked, set the camera up, hit record, and then hop into the shower. And then he needed to get out of the shower naked and then stop the recording, which means there's potentially a recording out there of him just butt naked. Of course, this made people freak out even more. However, there's also a chance he wouldn't do that to his editors and would probably just wear a bathing suit for that shot, just like most people who are doing shower scenes in movies and such. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check on Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks for a lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.